You are listening to the Two and Out CFL podcast, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
Now, we're both in Edmonton, and we absolutely love it here, and wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Well, now she's got to know that it's better than Regina or Winnipeg, right?
Well, she fully understands. She's fully aware. We had to educate her up, and she knows the deal now. Yeah.
Grab some poutine and a double-double. It's time for the Two and Out CFL podcast.
Now they have to kick it out, and they do!
Every week, Travis Currah.
Does anybody still care about this podcast?
And Brazilian Tide.
Hunters are people, too.
Talk fantasy football, bring you the latest in CFL news, and sprinkle in a little bit of nonsense.
Are you kidding? This is unbelievable!
Ready, set, hunt!
And we are part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. I'm Travis Currah. Brazilian Ty will not be joining us for this episode that is brought to you by Park Power, a provider of electricity and natural gas in Alberta that offers low rates, awesome service, and profit sharing with local charities. I don't know about you, I like to save money. The more of it I can keep in my pocket or in my bank account, the happier I am. And in this province, you get to choose who you buy your energy from. So Park Power has low overhead, so the chances are you're going to save money if you switch. They've got a handy calculator on their website, parkpower.ca. You can put in what you're paying for your energy now. It'll show you how much you will save just by making the switch to Park Power. It's really easy to do. Parkpower.ca. Find out how you can make the switch today. Joining the show this week is Jacob Ruby, starting left guard for the Edmonton Eskimos. Jacob, thanks for joining Two and Out this week.
No problem.
I kind of want to go back in time to start this off. Were you always a football kid growing up?
My the first sport I ever played was hockey. I mean, being a Canadian kid, a lot of times that's the case. But I kind of, as I started to grow and realize what my body was going to be like, I think football, I didn't start playing. I played one year of football before high school. I think I was in grade 6. And the reason I went out is I had a bunch of friends that were going to go play, and they said, you should come play. Like, you're big. And, and I went out and played football, and I got stuck being the lineman. I never got to touch the ball. Nothing. I think I was a D tackle back then. And I was like, no, I want to play hockey. So I kind of gave hockey everything I had for up until probably the next maybe 4 years. And then I went to high school and I said, I'm going to play football, just another sport. I always took advantage of kind of every season of sports. So at that time when football was a thing, I didn't have another sport to play, and so I wanted to play football. And then from pretty much that point forward, I was like, this is what I want to do. So a couple times, later in the later years of hockey, when you realize that you're probably going to be the instigator,
right,
fighter kind of guy, I think that was when I realized I could probably do this and be a lot better at it if I was playing football. So that's kind of when I turned things full on to football, and I ended up quitting hockey, and I played football and basketball for the most part of high school, and then my last year of high school was just strictly football. So,
and that's probably the path that a lot of Canadians take in the Canadian Football League. I would think, because
there's a few of them.
Yeah, you say you get stuck as a lineman, and we do see some gadget plays where the big guys get to score. Have you tried
can dream, right?
Have you tried to rally, the OC to try to make that happen?
No, I don't think. I don't know how. I'd have to pull some serious strings to make that happen. The closest I came was in college, and we actually had to play. And I remember the name of it because it was awesome. It was called 62 Seawolf.
Nice.
And I was playing left tackle, and there was no chance of me getting the ball, but I got to line up as a receiver on the far hash and run a bubble screen, and that was the closest I came as a lineman to being, I guess, one of the cool guys. But yeah, no, pretty much all the way through high school up until my last year of high school, I played tight end. So I got my fair share of, I don't know, being one of the pretty boys, I guess.
You spent some time in Virginia. Was that a bit of an adjustment being an Ontario kid?
Yeah, it was. I'd say the biggest adjustment was the Virginia summers. That was a whole new thing for me. I kind of remember I played summer football, and our team was pretty good, the London Falcons back then. And when I found out, or when I had decided to go to Fork Union, they had training camp, I think, beginning of August, and maybe the second week of August, and our playoffs were going into that time. So I told them I got to finish the season here, and then when I'm done, I can, I'm coming. So we had ended up playing. We were playing Mississauga. Fun fact: the Brandon Bridge was the quarterback.
Oh wow!
There, and that was my last game. So we played on a Tuesday, and camp had already started, I believe, we played on a Friday, and camp had started the previous Tuesday, and down in Fork Union. So basically, after we actually lost to Brandon Bridge, if you ever have him on, I'm sure you remember that one. It was terrible. It was a lightning delay, and they called the game. But
wow,
I'm not going to go not back to that one. But basically, got done that game and had to go home, pack up, and then I was at Fork Union, I think on either the Sunday or the Monday, and it felt like we were in the car the entire time, and I didn't get out until I was in the 105 degree, 90% humidity, and kind of got out of the car and was just hit with a wall. So yeah, it was different. That was probably the biggest adjustment was the summers.
So that game against Montreal a few weeks ago, that was nothing for you.
No, yeah, I was talking with some of the guys that are from the South, and I know there was a few guys that were just like, this humidity is ridiculous. I was like, you obviously have not spent any amount of time in the South. So yeah, no, it was. I've definitely experienced more hot and humid days than that.
You were drafted in the first round by the Alouettes in 2015. Let's kind of go back to that day. Had you had a conversation with the Owls before the draft? Did you know you were going to be a first-round pick? And did you have, your family around? We kind of see what some people do for draft day. Was it a special day?
Yeah, no, it was definitely special. I think the first time I really kind of realized that even had thought about getting drafted was whenever they do the player rankings that are coming into the draft,
right?
And then someone showed me, and I saw myself there, and then kind of realized that understanding a little bit of the draft process, I wasn't as in tune to it as I am now. But yeah, that was I definitely didn't have a clue who I was going to get drafted by, but I know that I had known that. The gym pop came to see me play, and we were playing at Elon in North Carolina, which is close to where he lives in North Carolina. So there was that there, but at that point, that was before the combine and stuff, and then you go and talk with all the teams, and you really don't have a clue where you're going, and yeah. But to watch the draft, I watched it at my grandparents' house, and my whole family was there, and you're kind of sitting on the edge of the seat, waiting to see where you're going to go. And it's right before that, in August of before my senior year, I'd proposed to my wife. So we were engaged, and she was kind of sitting there. She didn't tell me this till after, probably maybe a few months after I signed in Edmonton is that when Edmonton was up, she was like, I hope we don't go there. All she knew was she was crossing her fingers hoping that we didn't go there. And it was too far north. She'd never heard of it. But
okay.
Obviously getting drafted and being able to play football for a job is awesome. But now that we're both in Edmonton, and we absolutely love it here, and wouldn't want to have it any other way.
Well, now she's got to know that it's better than Regina or Winnipeg, right?
Well, she fully understands. She's fully aware. We had to educate her up, and she knows the deal now. Yeah.
So, since you adjusted to the Virginia summers, was there an adjustment period when you came back to play Canadian ball again?
Yeah. Like I said, when I was in Canada, I played tight end, and believe it or not, I was a receiving tight end. So blocking I did block, but I guess minimally. But so coming back, even at the combine, I mean, the yard off the ball, which is if you ask any American lineman or any guys that have played in the States, that's the biggest adjustment is playing with the yard off the ball. And it was a big adjustment. It changes everything for an offensive lineman. Offensive lineman blocking is all about angles and how do you get what angle you take to get to your guy. And when you're that much farther away from him, it changes everything. So that was definitely a big adjustment and the biggest adjustment that you have to make.
And you guys just wrapped up a game with Calgary over the long weekend. You've been with the Eskimos for 2 years now. I got to ask, do they sit you down and teach you have to hate Calgary like nobody else? Because it's crazy.
They don't have to teach you. They don't have to teach you anything. I think once you come here and you're you just learn some of the history with it, and you talk to any amount of fans in Edmonton. The first thing they're going to say is beat Calgary, and so you pick up pretty quick. There's no sit down and here's the story on how we don't like Calgary. It's you learn it pretty quick talking to anybody in the city.
It's crazy to me. Vontae Diggs, he's new to the league. He was already on Twitter last week saying
exactly. Yep.
they know.
You pick up on it quick.
Is it fair to say that, Calgary's the team you want to beat the most?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously you get a little more juice when you play Calgary. There's no doubt about it. But we've focused a lot this year on going 1-0 every week. So there was no there was no looking ahead on the schedule at any point this year. But now we're here, and this is the most important game because it's the next game we're going to play. And now you get even more fired up because you get to go right down Highway 2 and play against Calgary.
I think some people thought that the Eskimos might take some time to gel at the beginning of the year because there was a lot of changes around the entire league, but it kind of seemed like everything just clicked right away. I heard most of the team kind of stuck around during the bye week. It seems like there's just a great chemistry in that Eskimos locker room.
Yeah, and I think I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day. Is there's so many good dudes on this team, and when you put guys like that are good people together, they're going to gel and they're going to be able to they're going to have chemistry right away. So that was for me definitely. This is like the when you put 60 to 80 guys together. I think we ended up 90 something during training camp. When you put that amount of guys together, some people and every team I've been on might not get along or whatnot, but this is the most cohesive together team I've ever been on, and I think that is paying dividends and has paid dividends so far this year.
Is that a testament to kind of Brock Sunderland? He just kind of knows what kind of personalities he wants in the locker room, and he brings them in, and it just works? Or is it some leaders in the locker room that kind of just make that happen?
I think it's a combination of both. I think obviously Brock and Coach Moss know what they're looking for, as far as people. And I think, I've heard them say, even during free agency and stuff and signing guys, is the first thing they want to know is he a good guy? And they obviously they picked up some good guys both on the field and off the field, and that does nothing but help you. But the guys that he picked up or that have signed here as free agents, and then the guys that we retain that have been around a while, know what we call it the Eskimo way, what that is, and how we go about our business. And when you're new to that group and you can see that and you pick it up quick, then that's just better for everybody.
Our friends at the Eskimo Empire podcast always ask what the Eskimo way means to a player. What does it mean to you? Because I know as a fan, you walk into that stadium, there's so much history, the Wall of Honor, the banners and the concourse. It's probably hard to not be intimidated by some of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you see some of the names on the wall and just see it, the first thing I noticed when I walked in the building is you walk in and they have a plaque for every Grey Cup they've won, and there's 5 consecutive years that they won the thing. And it's like, you can't name another sports franchise, I can't, that was able to do that. And but the Eskimo way, so you're able to see what it means just to be able to call yourself an Eskimo, to be able to step in that building, on that field, and wear our colors is, you have to do things a certain way because there's a lot of people that have done them that way before you. And the other part of it is learning from that and doing things the right way and putting the team first and putting yourself and your personal gain after that. And this year, and more so than any other team I've been on, we've been able to do that, and we want to continue to do that.
How much better does it make you as an offensive lineman to go against guys like Mondo and Kwaku and have these guys in your face?
It doesn't hurt, I'll tell you that. Every time they ask me, or I get asked, who's the hardest guy to block? Well, my answer is Mondo. So thankfully, I don't have to block him on game day. Just try to block him in practice. But our D line has been unreal across the board, and even guys that we were watching. We watch a lot of clips as a whole team the other day or after games from the game, and you see guys that are rotating guys that go in to give other guys a break, and you don't notice that they're missing. It's like we're deep on the D line, and guys that there's 6-7 starters that can go in and they don't skip a beat, and having to go against those guys that could Mondo's an all-star guy, and Mike Moore, I think if he's at the top, if not close in sacks, and having to block those guys every day is, that makes you a better player.
I'd say you guys are pretty deep on the O-line as well. I mean, Sir Vincent Rogers is injured, Matt O'Donnell, yet Shaq Cooper comes in and you're able to get almost 150 yards on the ground for him. These running backs and quarterbacks, you're keeping Trevor Harris pretty clean as well. I mean, do they help you out with some meals or anything?
Yeah, Trevor takes care of us. Trevor's a good dude, but we don't. If you're an O lineman, you kind of buy in that you're. You got to show up to work and not expect any credit or reward. But those guys and our team does a good job of acknowledging us, and Trevor does a great job of we feel appreciated. We feel wanted, so it's a good feeling.
Well, you're a 6'7" guy. You got to eat a lot to fuel yourself. When you're on a road trip, what's the best CFL city to go out maybe before or after a game and have a nice meal?
We stick. We're not big change people on the line. We like consistency, and we like to know what we're going to get. So pretty much everywhere we go, we probably eat at the Keg. So. And we actually had this discussion the other day where the best keg is, and it was the Montreal Keg. They're they're pretty consistent in there. When you get, we usually eat with 6 of us, maybe the quarterbacks and maybe another guy or 2. And when you get a group like that together, it's you're bound to get an undercooked or an overcooked steak, and the one in Montreal that hasn't happened. So Montreal keg, I think, gets our vote for the best keg. And anywhere, in Montreal, we also make sure right when we get there to go get some Schwartz's.
Oh, you can't beat that.
You can't beat that, yeah.
So offensive linemen like consistency. What's your go-to order at the keg there? When I go, I can't turn down the filet.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I'm more of a ribeye guy myself.
Oh yeah,
so I'll get the ribeye, and then you like to change it up a little bit with the steak. You might go with a New York strip. You might go with a sirloin if you're going to go with the keg classic route, and then if you want to get a salad. I've been straying away from that recently and going with more appetizers, and then just going the steak with the side. So if I had to pick one, it'd definitely be a ribeye.
You know what? I always thought that the offensive linemen were the funnest position, like as far as the group of guys on the team. Is that fair to say, or?
I'd say that's very fair to say. We like, we don't, obviously we want to get our work done and be focused and whatnot, but we like to have a good time and like to joke around with one another. We're rarely uptight and take stuff overly serious, but I think besides that and the mindset you have to have when you are an O-lineman, that you're going to come to work and you're not going to be having cameras in your face, or you're not going to be in the newspaper a lot. So you're going to go to work and you're going to be humble about it, and you kind of embrace that, and it loosens you up a little bit to be able to joke around and enjoy stuff.
I know you like the outdoors. What do you like to do when you're out and about?
I like anything outside. I mean, anything I can do outside with friends or with my family. We've been going to, trying to, if the weather's cooperating, to go to Wabman Lake. I like to fish. The last time I was there, I think I caught 13 walleye.
Oh wow!
So it was good. It was. We'll go with Beard, David Beard. He's got a little fishing boat, so we like to go out there and putt around on the lake and enjoy the outside.
Yeah, I think the best fishing stories or that I have are the ones that I couldn't catch. The ones that break the line, man.
Right. Yeah, we can. If you want some of those stories about, maybe you should have David Beard on here. I'm sure he can tell you a few times he's never caught one or almost hooks me in the eye with a hook. That'll be another good story.
What else do you like to do? I know you're a streamer as far as the Netflix goes and things like that. What are you watching now?
We just finished Colony, and it's a show basically. There's aliens that come to the Earth to make humans their labor force because there's an inevitable war with another group of aliens. So it's pretty cool. It's got one of the guys from Lost in it, and then the wife from Prison Break. So that's a good show. And then we're also up to date on the 100 is another one too.
Man, there's so many shows now. I don't know how you keep it all straight, to be honest.
So many, yeah. There's so many. We don't get a lot of. We do have cable, but we don't get a lot of channels. So we stick to Netflix pretty consistently.
One more question. Last year at the Grey Cup, I smashed Zach Evans of the Riders in a pierogi eating contest.
Really? Wow.
Yes. He wants to do a rematch in Calgary. He wants me to put my beard on the line.
Oh, boy. That's a bold strategy. Man.
And you as a bearded guy, I feel like, what should I get him to wager?
I don't know Zach too well, but I obviously I know what he looks like, and he doesn't have anything with enough collateral to wager against your beard. So that'd be tough. That'd be a tough one. And he keeps his hair pretty short too.
He does.
He can't go that road either.
So if you could enter an eating contest, say Joey Chestnut is your competitor,
oh boy,
what are you eating?
Well, not hot dogs, I'll tell you that.
No, I couldn't do that either.
Yeah. You know what? I'm pretty good at wings.
Oh,
I can take down a few wings. I'd probably go wings.
Yeah, that's awesome. The bone can get in the way, but
That's right. There's a little bit of a work to it, a little bit of effort, but that's why I'm not a big lobster or crab guy, because you got to work for a cumulative 20 minutes to get, half a pound of meat.
I feel like the calories you get is way less than the calories you put out.
Well, that's just dependent on how much butter you put on it, I guess.
That's true.
Right.
Jacob, thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thanks again to Jacob Ruby of the Edmonton Eskimos for joining Two and Out this week. We are a part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. I want to point you in the direction of Let's Find Out today. It's a podcast that answers questions about Edmonton's history with host Chris. Just before Canada Day, he did an episode called Bear Country. Of course, August long weekend. I was spending it in Jasper National Park. I love bears. They are, I think, the greatest animal on earth. So he talks to Stuart Steinauer. He actually does bear carvings. They've got one headed to MacEwan University, one already at the University of Alberta, and talks to a wildlife biologist as well, talking about how big the historical range of grizzly bears was in Alberta once upon a time. It's a fascinating episode. Check out Let's Find Out, a part of the Alberta Podcast Network. All the shows you can find at albertapodcastnetwork.com. Also, if you want tickets for Week 9 in the CFL, or 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, heck, probably even the Grey Cup, SeatGiant.ca, a Canadian-owned ticket company. You head there, it's all in Canadian dollars. You're not going to get any crazy surprises at the end of all of this. And if you use the promo code APN, you are going to save yourself 5% and support the Alberta Podcast Network in the process. SeatGiant.ca, promo code APN. Two and Out will be back on Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern, as Commissioner Ambrosi joins the show. Have yourself a good few days, and talk to you Thursday.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.